In Project 3, we're going to take a look at how we can format a worksheet, and we're going to do this by changing the column widths. We're going to merge and center cells, and we'll apply number formatting to numbers within cells. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and close out of the workbook that we're in. I'm going to go ahead and save changes to that. And before we start in Project 3, they are going to have us open up a file from our student data disk. However, before that, I want you to at least review pages 19 and 20 where it talks about selecting cells. There's a variety of ways that you can select cells using your mouse or your keyboard. If you look at the top of page 20, it shows you how you can select columns and rows. Obviously, just let me go ahead and open up the data file that we're going to need. The one that's the one that we're looking for is Mo Expo EXP. Okay, you can select obviously just by clicking and dragging. That allows you to select. If you wanted to select an entire column, like column C, if you lay your mouse on C, changes to a black arrow pointing downward, and then you can click, and that highlights the entire column. Same thing with a row. If you want to highlight the entire row, you just lay your mouse on the number. It'll select the entire row over as many columns as there are in the worksheet. If you want to highlight more than one, you just click and drag, and that highlights more than one column, more than one row. They're also talking about non-adjacent cells. If you want to highlight monthly expenses, then I want to also highlight monthly percentages. I hold down the Control key, and that'll allow me to select non-adjacent cells. Now I want you to see also there's one cell within this area that's highlighted that's white, and that's just normal. So don't freak out if that happens. You'll have one that's always white in the range that you select. At the bottom of page 20, they give you some ways to select cells using your keyboard. So you can certainly use those as well, whatever's more convenient for you and makes you more efficient. As we look at the worksheet that we have in front of us, or the workbook I should say, we're going to apply some just basic formatting to some of the cells. And the first thing that we're going to do is change the column width for column A. If you lay your mouse between A and B, get a double-sided black arrow. If you double click at that area, that automatically fits that column so that it's wide enough to accommodate the longest word in that column. Same way with cells or columns E and F. If you lay your mouse between the letters there, double click, it'll automatically fit to adjust the longest line in that column. We do the same thing for column F. We want to make that wide enough so that it accommodates the word percentage. So I'm going to lay my mouse on the vertical line between F and G, and again double click, and that'll widen it long enough to accommodate percentage, which is the longest word in that column. If you'll notice, the title over each of these, well, monthly expenses is over the first three columns, budget percentages is over the columns E and F. We want to merge and center that title over those three columns. So to do that, we're going to select the columns that we want to merge between, and in this case it's A1 through C1. So I've selected those cells, and then on your Home tab in the Alignment group, you should see the Merge and Center button, and I'll go ahead and click on that. That will then merge that into one cell, and the title then is centered over these three columns. We're going to do the same thing with the title, budget percentages. You'll select the columns that you want to merge and center across, and then again up on your ribbon we'll just click the Merge and Center button. If you'll notice at the bottom of page 22, you're going to see some ways of applying formats to numbers. And there's a variety of ways of doing that. They give an explanation for each one of the formats in table 1-6, so be sure to review those. And we're going to start in project 3B, actually formatting some of the numbers in our worksheet. We're going to start in cell B13. Before we do any application of formatting here, we're going to put in some functions that will total each one of these columns, and as we saw in the last project, we're going to use the sum function to total the numbers for both budget and actual. So we'll want to make sure that our active cursor is in cell B13, and then again on the Home tab in the Editing group, we're going to click on the Sum button, and it guesses what range of cells that you want to add, and in this case it is correct. It's B4 through B12. I'm just going to press enter. And then the same thing we want for actual. This time if you want to just double click, it'll automatically select that range of cells, C4 through C12, and we'll get a total for those numbers. For cells B4 and C4, we're actually going to apply the accounting number format. So when you apply formatting to any cells, you need to select the cells first. So we're going to select B4, C4. I've highlighted both of those cells, and then we're going to apply the accounting number format, which again is on the Home tab in the number group. And again, my buttons within the number group are not showing. I need to click on that number button, and that'll expand out the buttons within that group. And then the accounting format is the $sign. So we'll click on that, and that'll apply $signs with 2 zeros beyond the decimal. And they actually don't want the decimal point to be there and the zeros to the right of the decimal, so we're going to use the decrease decimal button to decrease the zeros to the right. So again, in the number group, if you'll notice there's an increase, decrease decimal button. We want to decrease. I'm just going to click on that twice. I need to select those first. And that will remove the decimal point and the 2 zeros to the right of the decimal. We're going to do the same thing with B13 and C13, so I'm going to select those, and again apply the accounting number format to it, decrease the decimal so there's no zeros applied to that. Alright, and then we're going to apply the comma style formatting to the remaining numbers, and that's going to include B5 through C12. And the comma style again is the number group. You'll notice the little comma style button. If you click on that, it applies the comma style, and again we want to decrease the decimals. So if you go back to the number group, you'll see the decrease decimal button. Again, we'll just click on that twice, and that will align those numbers without any decimal places. And then finally, you'll notice on the right hand side here, we'll apply the percent style formatting to these numbers. Cells F3 through F9, and to apply the percent style button, we're going to go up to the number group, and again just click on the percent style. Now this time it doesn't add the decimal places, so that we don't have to decrease the decimals there. And then let's go ahead and save this as they've suggested. We're going to go under the File tab and click Save As. And I'm going to move to the folder that I want to save it in. And we're going to change the beginning portion of this to Excel Level 1, Chapter 1, and Project 3 this time. And we'll keep the remaining part of the file name at the end. And then you can either press Enter or you can click on the Save button in the lower right hand corner. In Project 4, you'll see the help feature, and there's a variety of ways of getting help while you're in Excel. They talk about using the backstage view, which if you go to your File tab, there's a help option here, a variety of ways of getting office help, getting started. If you want to contact him, there's a lot of ways that you can get information about Office in general and Excel. If I go back to the Home tab, there's also a help button, and the question mark here in the upper right hand corner, if you click on that, that will take you into a help dialog box. That will allow you to type in information online, or if you want to get started with Excel, you can do that as well. If you take a look under the search drop down box, notice you can get Excel help, Excel templates, Excel training, all kinds of help in the help dialog box. So if for some reason you would want to know something about Excel, you can click on we'll type in enter data and see if that works from here. I'm just typing that in and pressing enter, or you can click on the find button to the right. Then that brings links to your dialog box, where if you click on that, that'll then give you a little bit more information and a step-by-step approach. Like if I want to enter text or number in a cell, I can click on that, and that actually gives you a play-by-play or a step-by-step on how to enter text within a doc or within a workbook. So lots of ways that you can get help, again, through the help button when you're in Excel, and also the backstage view. So feel free to play with that a little bit and become familiarized with the help areas. And that concludes chapter 1. Again, on page 28 there's the chapter summary. Page 29 is the commands review. Page 30 is the concept check, which again I would highly recommend that you go through and complete that. That might prepare you a little bit more for the quizzes. I'll put the answers to those concept check out on Blackboard. There's a concept check tab that you'll find. Those are all PDF files that you can open and see the answers. And then, as always, please go through the assessments that you see at the end of the chapter, just to make sure that you understand the concepts that have been taught in the chapter. I've put those on the syllabus, but again, you do not submit those. You do not turn them in for grades. This is for your own benefit. And I will post the answers to the assessments, again, about midweek, for the end of chapter assessments, and the visual benchmarks will be there as well. The case studies do not have answers to those, although they're very good examples and exercises, just again to make sure that you understand the concepts and the features that were introduced in the chapter. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to email me or give me a call.